Hello S1, welcome to your next Studying a Poem lesson. And remember, Flannan is the poem that we are studying, but all the skills that you learn throughout this unit you can apply to any poem. Just as a reminder then of some technical words, a stanza is a unit or section of poetry. The rhyming scheme is to do with the pattern of rhyme in your poem. Word choice, which was the lesson you just went through, refers to the words that are chosen because of the effects they create. Imagery is linked to metaphors, similes, and personification. The speaker's tone is to do with how they are feeling, and mood and atmosphere is to do with how you feel when reading the poem, and quite often techniques such as word choice and imagery help you figure out what the mood and atmosphere is supposed to be. Now, you already know about word choice, but now we're moving on to look at imagery. So I'm just going to put on this short film just as a reminder of what we mean by imagery. It's quite loud, you might want to turn down your volume now. Hi S1, I'm going to talk to you today about imagery. Now, within imagery there are three main techniques. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is the metaphor, and this is when you compare one thing to something else by saying it is the other thing. An example would be that your teacher gave you a mountain of homework, and in this example you would be comparing the size of the mountain to the amount of homework that you have been given. Next, I'm going to talk to you about the simile, and this is when you compare one thing to something else, but this time you make the comparison clear by using words such as like or as. If I give you an example, she ran as fast as a cheetah. So in this case, the speed that a cheetah can run at is being compared to the speed of the woman. Excuse my terrible drawings. And this helps us understand just how fast the female runner is. Finally, I'm going to tell you about my favourite technique, personification. And in this, we would give an inanimate object a human quality. For example, the wind whistled in my ear. And this time the comparison is between the noise that the wind is making to the sound of whistling. And by giving it human qualities, it almost sounds like the wind is doing this on purpose just to annoy you. So metaphor, simile, personification are the three main techniques that we talk about when we're studying poetry, and we ask you to look out for the imagery. You might want to pause the video just now just to make sure that you can have a quick chat and make sure you totally understand what was being said. A lot of you will already recognise these techniques from primary, and we will go over them again and again and again. But remember, at any point, if you're not sure what the difference is between metaphor, personification or simile, just have another wee look at this video, okay? Right, we'll move on then to imagery in Flannan. So let's look at this particular quotation. The winter day broke blue and bright with glancing sun and glancing spray, as o'er the swell our boat made way, as gallant as a gull in flight. Now, you could say there's actually at least three images here, maybe even four. Okay, so I want you to pick out one that you can spot, and then what I would like you to do is quote it. So if you find a phrase from this particular bit of the poem that you think that's definitely an image, then I want you to write it into the box, and remember to use your quotation marks to show that it's a quotation. Underneath that, I want you to write what technique has been used. Now, as I say, there's more than one example in this section, so there's lots to choose from. And so you would write down whether it's a metaphor, a simile, or personification. And then underneath that, I want you to write what the comparison is. So what are they comparing to? Okay? So for example, if it was she ran as fast as a cheetah, you would say they're comparing the speed of the girl to the speed of a cheetah. That would be the comparison bit. So 3 bullet points. 1, you're just adding the quotation. 2, you're explaining what technique it is. You don't need to write in sentences, you can literally just write the technique. And 3, break the comparison down. And that's basically how you start to analyse an image. Obviously, when you get older, we'll show you how to do that in more depth, but in first year, we'd be happy with that. So pause the video and do that now. We're now moving on to look at some more. So now I want you to look at the poem as a whole, and you should have the whole poem from your rhyme lesson. I want you to find another example of imagery, so another simile, metaphor, or personification, just one. And again, 3 bullet points, quote it, identify the image, then explain the comparison. Once you've found one more, then as a class, I want you to share ideas. Make sure you all agree that each one you found is a simile or a metaphor or personification. So now that you've gone through rhyming schemes and word choice and imagery, you're going to look at completing a textual analysis assessment on the poem Flannan Isle. This will be out of 20 marks and you'll be asked about the main ideas, the rhyming scheme, the word choice and the imagery. The questions might mention tone and atmosphere. Please check that you understand these. You can write in bullet points, but please remember your capital letters, full stops and spelling where you can, because it's always really important. And that's us.